Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. The first day of MotoGP's official Sepang test was eventful, with Jorge Martín suffering a heavy crash that left him injured. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia shared his thoughts on the incident and also provided early feedback on the new Desmosedici GP25. Marc Márquez has kicked off his first official MotoGP test as a factory Ducati rider with a strong showing at Sepang. The 8-time world champion was second fastest on day 1, praising improvements in Ducati's latest GP25 evolution but admitting there are still some issues to resolve. Yamaha's Fabio Quartararo has made an intriguing adjustment to his approach at the Sepang MotoGP test. The 2021 world champion has a one-word reminder on his dashboard to help refine his riding style as he works to close the gap to the dominant Ducatis. Aprilia CEO Massimo Rivola has spoken out following Jorge Martin's devastating crash during MotoGP preseason testing at Sepang. Rivola stated that the crash was not caused by any issues with Martin's bike or rider error, describing it as an unexplained incident. The crash has thrown Martin's participation in the upcoming Buram test into serious doubt, as he faces multiple fractures and will undergo surgery. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Reigning MotoGP champion Jorge Martín's preseason got off to a tough start after he suffered 2 crashes on his first day aboard the Aprilia RSGP. The second, a violent high side at turn 2, resulted in fractures to his left hand and foot, ruling him out of the remaining test days. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia, speaking after the session, described Martín's accident as an unfortunate case of bad luck rather than excessive risk-taking. Honestly, I don't think he risked today. He just crashed in the slowest corner, in the worst way possible, but it's something that can happen. Maybe the rear tire wasn't warm enough, because it was the harder specification, and that can be tricky. Quote from Bagnaia. Bagnaia also compared Martín's crash to Marc Márquez's infamous high side in 2019, emphasizing the fine margins in MotoGP. While Martín's injury was the biggest story of the day, Bagnaia himself had a quiet session, finishing 17th and over a second off Fabio Quartararo's fastest time. However, the Italian wasn't focused on outright speed, as he and Ducati were prioritizing data collection. It's difficult to say much about the bike because we didn't have enough tires to properly test things. Today was more about filtering information and understanding our direction. Bagnaia revealed that he spent the day using the GP24 chassis but with Ducati's new 2025 engine, as the team wanted to evaluate power delivery before introducing further upgrades. While Bagnaia wasn't ready to give a definitive verdict on the GP25, he did highlight some key differences compared to last year's machine. Improved power delivery and braking needs work. The GP25 is very smooth and precise on power delivery, better than the GP24, which was a bit bumpier. The best thing about the GP24 was braking and entry, and right now, the GP25 isn't at that level. But we have time to fix it. Ducati's approach is methodical, with Bagnaia explaining that the new chassis will be introduced after they fully understand the engine. The compressed testing schedule, combined with the upcoming engine development freeze, means Ducati wants to avoid missteps. We will finish these 5 days of testing, and then 1 week later we have to go to Thailand for the first race. The most important thing is to get the engine right first, Bagnaia concluded. Ducati and Bagnaia work through their testing program. All eyes will be on how the GP25 evolves over the next few days. Meanwhile, Jorge Martín's injury is a major setback, but Aprilia will hope he recovers in time for the season opener. Stay tuned for more updates from Sepang. Having raced the GP23 with Gresini last season, Marquez got his first taste of Ducati's factory machinery during the Valencia test in November, where he sampled both the GP24 and an early prototype of the GP25. Now, with the latest version of the GP25 at Sepang, Marquez says the bike feels like a step forward compared to what he previously tested. It was like the first run already. I felt super good with the bike, like I was not 2 months without riding a MotoGP. That makes everything easier because when you have that feeling, you are more precise in the comments, and now that's super important because we are trying a lot of things. Quote from Marquez. Ducati's focus at Sepang has been on fine-tuning the engine before the homologation deadline. Marquez revealed that both he and reigning champion Pecco Bagnaia shared similar feedback about the bike, despite working in slightly different directions to improve balance. Marquez highlighted some of the key areas where the GP25 differs from last year's Ducati. He noted that the engine feels a bit smoother, while also producing more power. Looks like the engine is a bit smoother, so this is a good characteristic for the rider. Always you try to find more power. This we also achieved a bit. But then we have to fix different problems. I think by electronics and all these things, they are able to do it. Another area where Marquez feels an improvement is braking stability, something that will be crucial as he adapts his aggressive riding style to Ducati's latest machine. However, he also acknowledged the challenges of developing a completely new bike. While the 2024 bike was already a refined package after a full season of competition, Ducati's GP25 is still in the early stages of finding the right balance. Beyond the technical aspects, Marquez also touched on his physical condition heading into the 2025 season. At 32 years old and with multiple injuries in his past, he admits he has had to adjust his training regimen. Of course, I need to work more than usual, more than what I'm used to, because at 32 years old that could be one of the reasons. But I think it's about all the injuries I had. I need to work more. But I accept it and I do it. My 24 hours in the day, 12 are for my body, Marquez concluded. Despite these challenges, Marquez feels better prepared than he did at the start of 2024, when he was still recovering from arm pump surgery. With careful training, including limiting his motocross sessions, he aims to be in peak condition for the opening round of the season. Marc Márquez's first official test with the factory Ducati squad has shown promising signs, with the GP25 already feeling like an improvement over its early prototype. However, there's still work to be done, and with just 3 days of testing in Sepang, every lap will be crucial in fine-tuning the bike before the season begins. During the first official test day in Sepang, Quartararo was spotted with the words "smooth" displayed on his cockpit. He later explained that this is part of a deliberate effort to change how he rides. My instinct when I go on track is to push like hell and to really maximize the bike all the time. But sometimes, feeling slower makes you faster. So I always have smooth on my dashboard to remind me to stay calm on the bike. Quote from Quartararo. The Frenchman first began this approach last season after noticing the difference in how Ducati riders manage their electronics and overall bike handling. Since then, he has been trying to adopt a more controlled, efficient riding style. Quartararo has now completed 3 days of riding at Sepang, including the earlier shakedown test. On the first official test day, Yamaha focused on electronic settings, revalidating what was learned during the private sessions. Basically, today we tested some electronics, a few settings that we already worked on during the shakedown. It was just a reconfirmation. It was a good day for us, especially for the engineers, to better understand the direction we need to take. Despite some optimism, Quartararo is cautious about drawing conclusions too early, especially with so many riders already setting fast lap times. While Quartararo is encouraged by Yamaha's work, he remains realistic about the challenges ahead. He acknowledged that some rivals had immediately shown impressive speed, but he emphasized the need for patience. I don't want to be too positive from the beginning. We are working in a good way, but it's only the first day of the test. We need to see where the others are. Many riders went super fast already, but for them, it's also their 3rd day here. We have to stay neutral, work well, and see where we are in Thailand. With Yamaha still playing catch-up to Ducati and KTM, Quartararo knows that every detail will count in the development process leading up to the season opener. Fabio Quartararo's smooth approach highlights his dedication to refining his riding style and helping Yamaha take a step forward. With more testing ahead, the real question remains, will it be enough to challenge the frontrunners in 2025? Jorge Martin's testing day took a turn for the worse on Wednesday at Sepang when he crashed twice, with the second incident at turn 2 resulting in a high side that left him with multiple fractures. Rivella confirmed that Aprilia's data showed there were no faults with Martin's RSGP bike, stating that the bike was operating within its optimal range and Martin was not on the throttle when the crash occurred. The crash, which Rivella described as a bad crash for apparently no reason, has raised questions due to the absence of a clear cause. Despite the severity of the fall, Rivella noted that Martin's concussion was negative, offering some relief amid the concerning situation. A bad crash for apparently no reason, with no mistake on bike's side and no mistake on his side. Quote from Rivella. Rivella also mentioned that both of Martin's crashes during the session happened on the same set of tires, but refrained from placing blame on Michelin, though he acknowledged the ongoing investigation into the incident. Following the crash, Martin was hospitalized for a mandatory 24-hour observation period. Rivella explained that the next step for the Spanish rider is to fly back to Europe for surgery on his fractures. While his participation in the Burim test is uncertain, Rivella remains optimistic, pointing to Martin's previous miraculous recoveries in the past. Rivella detailed the recovery plan, stating that after surgery, the team will monitor Martin's progress closely to assess whether he could make a comeback in time for the Thailand GP. The very good news is the concussion is negative. That's the most important thing, to be honest. Although his return for the first race of the season may be challenging, Rivella expressed hope that Martin could still make an appearance at the Thailand GP. Martin wasn't the only rider affected by injury during the test. Trackhouse Racing's Raul Fernandez also suffered a fracture to his left hand after a crash. Team boss Davide Brivio described Fernandez's crash as a bit strange, considering he wasn't pushing at full intensity when the incident occurred. With both riders sidelined, Aprilia has put test rider Lorenzo Salvadori on the bike for the remainder of the test to gather crucial data. However, with Martin's situation still uncertain, Rivella emphasized that having Salvadori on board will ensure the team continues testing as planned, while Martin's recovery will be closely monitored. We are confident to have him for race 1, but we will bring Salva 2 as a backup to do more testing, Rivella concluded. As Jorge Martin faces surgery and a tough recovery, Aprilia is hopeful that he can make a swift return for the 2025 season opener. With testing disrupted by both Martin's and Fernandez's injuries, the team is adjusting its plans and preparing for any potential outcomes. All eyes will be on Martin's recovery, with a chance he may yet return for the Thailand GP. However, the situation remains fluid, and the team's backup strategy will be crucial in these early stages of the season. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you next time.